The huge meeting hall on Kai's Prime was brighter than usual that day. Thousands of lights shone down on rows of seats, shaped like a giant half-circle. Creatures from more than 60 different species sat there, tall ones with feathers, short ones with many arms, ones that floated in water tanks, ones covered in shiny scales. Everyone was present for the regular meeting of the Galactic Assembly. At the back, in a small section marked for humans, sat 23 people from Earth. They wore plain dark suits. They did not talk much. Their faces looked calm, almost bored. The leader of the group was Ambassador Elena Voss. She had short gray hair and sharp green eyes. She sat straight and watched everything without blinking. Too often, for many months, the smaller species had complained about humans. They said humans used too many resources. They said human ships moved too fast and too far into new parts of space. They said human colonies grew too quickly. The loudest voice came from the Cathar Dominion. The Cathar were tall insects with hard black shells and many clicking legs. Their leader that day was higher Ziketh. His voice sounded like dry leaves being crushed. Zakath stood at the central platform. His mandibles move fast while he spoke through the translator. Humans act like children who found their parents' weapon box, he said. They spread without control. Their numbers grow like mold on old food. They take minerals we need. They build stations in places that belong to all of us. If we do nothing, soon there will be no room left for anyone else. Many delegates laughed. Some clapped their different kinds of hands or tentacles, and a few bird-like beings made high whistling sounds that meant agreement. The human group did not move. They only listened. Elena Voss raised her hand 3 times to ask for speaking time, each time the chair being a slow-moving crystal creature named Moderator Vale looked away or said, "Time not yet." Granted, the rules were used like a shield. After the 3rd try, Voss lowered her hand. She folded it in her lap. Her face stayed calm. The vote came. Next, the question was simple. Should strict new limits be placed on human expansion, population, and mining rights? In the Orion arm, one by one, the colored lights appeared on the hue board above the chamber. Green for yes, red for no. Green lights filled almost every row. Red appeared only 4 times. 3 small allied species in the human section, 87 yes, 4 no, and the result flashed in large letters, passed. Silence fell for 2 seconds, then cheering started. Zakath raised his front legs in victory. Feathers rustled. Tentacles waved. Someone in the back made a loud hooting sound like a party horn. Elena Voss stood up slowly. Every human in her group stood at the same moment like they had practiced it many times. No one spoke. Voss reached to her collar and unclipped a small silver pin. The pin showed Earth's symbol, a simple blue circle with white lines for continents. She walked to the central podium. She placed the pin on the smooth black surface. It made a tiny click. One by one, the other humans did the same. 23 pins lay in a neat line on the podium. No words, no angry faces, no shaking hands or pointing fingers. They turned together. They walked toward the exit door at the back. Nearer, their steps were even and quiet. The door slid open. They passed through. The door closed behind the last person. The cheering stopped. Confusion spread like cold air. A few delegates looked at each other. Some laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. Skakath clicked his mandibles. They leave like angry children, he said. They will come back tomorrow asking for forgiveness, but the humans did not come. Back outside the chamber small shuttles waited in a long line, human. Pilots stood beside open doors. Delegates walked straight to their assigned ships. They climbed in without looking back. Engines hummed, doors sealed one after another. The shuttles rose, turned, and flew toward the sky. Within 12 minutes, the last ship disappeared into the clouds. Inside the hall, delegates began to talk loudly. What was that? asked a squid-like being from the Venn Collective. A protest, guessed a feathered delegate. From the ear conquered, moderator Vale tapped his crystal arm on the podium. Order, please. We still have other items on the list, but almost no one listened anymore. Eyes kept going to the podium, where 23 silver pins lay shining under the lights. No one moved to touch them. That night, news traveled fast across the star networks. Headlines appeared in every language. Humans walk out of assembly. Earth delegates leave without word. Silent exit shocks galactic council. Most people thought it was temporary. Humans were known to be stubborn, but they always came back to talk. They like trade. They like deals. They needed friends in a big galaxy. Only a few wise old beings felt something cold in their stomachs. One was an ancient Turt-like scholar from the slow-moving lore race. He sat alone in his tank and whispered to himself. They did not shout. They did not beg. They simply left. That is worse than anger. Far away on fast ships heading toward the solar system, 23 humans sat quietly. Elena Voss looked out the window at the stars. Her face showed nothing, but inside her chest, something hard and certain grew stronger every minute. The galaxy had laughed at them for the last time. No one knew it yet, but the age of easy human cooperation had just ended. 3 days after the walkout strain, things began across the galaxy. First came the small messages. Every trade station, every joint research base, every communication relay that humans helped build sent in galactic standard. Service terminated. No further access authorized. Goodbye. No explanation. No angry words. Just those 9 words repeating on every screen. At the big trade hub above Riel 4, human cargo ships had always brought huge loads of titanium, rare earths, and frozen food. That morning, the dock stood empty. The last human freighter had left at 217. Station time. No replacement arrived. Managers ran to check schedules. Schedules showed only blank spaces where human ships used to be. Panic started. Small. A crab-like merchant waved his claws and shouted, "Where are my protein bars? Humans always deliver on Tuesday." No one answered. On the mining moon of Thera 9, a mixed team worked deep underground. Humans had designed the heavy drills in the air filters. At 9:00 local time, every machine stopped. Lights dimmed to emergency red. Air recyclers slowed, and alien workers banged on control panels. Nothing happened. A final message appeared on every screen. Human override engaged. Operation suspended until further notice. Above a neutron star research post, a team of 12 scientists, only 2 humans, watched their telescopes go blind. The quantum sensors built and tuned by human engineers refused new commands. Access denied. Authorization withdrawn. The screen said. One scientist, a tall insect from the Cathar, screamed at the ceiling. No answer came. The worst hit was the Assembly's own communication grid, human. Companies had installed the fast quantum. Repeaters that let leaders talk in real time across thousands of light years. One by one, the repeaters went quiet. Messages arrived late, then later then. Not at all, while important orders from Kai's Prime reached distant fleets 3 days. Late some never arrived, High Speaker Zach Kath called an emergency meeting of his council, find out what they did. He ordered scouts were sent, reports came back quickly, every human embassy on every world had closed, flags removed. Doors locked, lights off, inside some buildings cleaning robots still worked, wiping floors that no one would walk on. Again, on the pleasure moon of Call Prime, human entertainers, cooks, and guides had vanished overnight. Hotels stood half empty, restaurants closed. The famous Earth Jazz nights were canceled forever. Rich tourists complained loudly. No one cared. Traders tried to call human companies. Lines rang and rang. Voicemail said only, "Quina, this number is no longer in service." Some brave captains flew straight to human border stations. They found automated defense platforms waiting. Red lights blinked. A calm voice spoke in perfect standard. "Turn back, no entry permitted. Weapons are active." One stubborn Cathar cargo master ignored the warning. His ship pushed forward. 10 seconds later, bright beams cut his engines. The ship drifted helplessly until a tow drone, also human-made, grabbed it and pushed it back outside the line. No second warning was needed. Week by week, the shortages grew. Antimatter for big warships became hard to find. Humans had supplied most of it. Medical isotopes for hospitals ran low. Human reactors made the best ones. Even simple things like strong steel cables and fast computer chips disappeared from markets. The assembly tried to stay calm and they made speeches. Temporary problem, they said. Humans will return soon, but fewer people believed it. Elena Voss sat on a small command ship far beyond the border. She read reports from hidden sensors. She saw the empty docks, the dark stations, the angry faces. She did not smile. She only nodded once. "Step 2, she said quietly to her crew. No one asked what step 3 would be. In the core worlds, important people began to whisper the same fear. What if the humans never come back? 6 months passed. The galaxy felt colder. Famine started on 6 agri-worlds that depended on human grain shipments. Hospitals on 12 planets rationed medicine. Warships sat in docks because fuel was too expensive or simply gone. Trade prices jumped so high that ordinary people could no longer buy off-world fruit or medicine, though the assembly called another big meeting. This time the hall felt half empty. Many small species had stopped coming. They were too busy trying to survive. High Speaker Zach Kath looked thinner. Parts of his shell had lost shine. He stood at the podium and spoke with a shaking voice. "We must talk to the humans. We must explain. This cannot continue." Hologram appeared suddenly in the center of the chamber. No one had invited it. No one knew how it got past the security grid. The image showed Ambassador Elena Voss. She wore the same dark suit. Her face looked stronger than before. She spoke slowly and clearly. "Humans have left all treaties. We are no longer part of the assembly. We are no longer your allies. We are no longer your workers. We owe you nothing." She paused. The chamber became very quiet. "For 300 years we listened. We traded fairly. We shared technology when asked, we fought beside you in 3 wars, we helped rebuild after disasters. In return, we received laughter limits, insults and votes to cis, she listed them calmly. Year 214, our colony. Request in Epsilon Indi denied because too close to Cathar space. Year 228. Human population caps proposed, only humans, no other species. Year 241. Joke made on this very floor, humans breed like insects but without the manners, everyone laughed. Year 259. Our seat almost removed because we refused to stop building new ships. Year 272. This chamber called our people infestation. You laughed again. Her voice stayed even. No anger, only facts. We asked to speak many times. You refused, so we stopped asking. We stopped talking. We stopped helping. Now you feel what happens when the helpers leave. The hologram flickered. Do not ask us to return. We will not. Do not beg. We will not listen. Live with the choices you made. The image vanished. For almost a minute no one moved. Then shouting started. Some cried, some hit table. Skaketh stood frozen, his mandibles hung open. Outside human space became very quiet. No ships cross the old borders. Sensors watch new construction instead. Huge rings around distant suns. Long lines of colony ships heading toward the galaxy's edge. Quiet factories building things no alien had ever seen. Inside the Sol system, people worked hard and spoke little about the past. Children learned new history lessons. The old stories about joining the galaxy were replaced with different ones. Standing alone, building our own way, never begging again. Some humans felt sad, most felt free. Word count approximately 1,820. Part 4. Desperate ships began to arrive at the human line. First came small diplomatic shuttles from the Isler Concord. They carried soft-spoken bird people with gifts, rare gems, art promises. Automated guns met them. Text message appeared on their screens. State purpose, no docking allowed. They offered to give back the old seat. They offered trade deals with better terms. The answer was always the same, noted. No action needed. Next came the Ven. Their huge old dreadnoughts moved slowly. They sent long messages full of polite words and apologies. Human border stations listened, then they answered. Message received, no reply necessary. Even the proud Cathar sent a hive ship. It waited 3 days at the edge of human space. Finally a single text came. We were wrong, please talk. The reply was short, too late. Behind the silent wall, human life grew fast. New colonies appeared on worlds no one wanted before. Icy moons, red deserts, gas giant rings. People built cities inside hollow asteroids. They stretched thin black rings around small suns to catch every bit of light. Ships flew faster than ever. Weapons became stronger, quieter, cleaner. Traders who once sold human goods now bought from new sources. Prices stayed high. People went hungry. Riots started on some worlds. Leaders blamed humans, but more and more voices whispered, we did this to ourselves. One old lore scholar wrote a small book. It spread quietly. The last page said, only never laugh at the quiet ones. Their silence is heavier than your shouts. 2 years after the walkout, the assembly made its last big try. They sent a joint message on every channel, every screen, every radio, every hologram showed the same picture. The Old Cathar matriarch stood in front. Her shell looked cracked and dull. Behind her stood leaders from every big species. They looked tired, she read. Slowly, we, the Galactic Assembly, say, sorry, we drove away a species that helped us for centuries. We called them children, we called them pests. We were wrong, we insulted them, we limited them, we laughed at them. We see now what we lost. We do not ask for return. We do not demand trade. We only say we are sorry, truly sorry. The seat waits. If you want it, the door stays open. If you choose to walk through, we are smaller without you. The message ended. Silence followed across the galaxy. Far away on a new colony ship heading toward the rim, a captain watched the broadcast. He was young. He had been 20. When the walkout happened, he watched. Once, then he deleted the file. He turned to the pilot. Keep course, he said. We have new stars waiting. Ship flew on. Years passed. The galaxy changed. Many old trade routes died. New ones appeared, slower, smaller, more expensive. Species learned to make their own antimatter, their own medicine, their own chips. It cost more, it took longer, but they did it. The assembly still met. Fewer people came. The big hall on Kai's Prime felt too large now. Empty seats stared back at the speakers. No one joked anymore about humans, and the name human became something heavy. Like a stone dropped in water, ripples lasted long after the splash. Some worlds kept a chair empty in their councils. A small sign said on it, for Earth if they return. No one really believed they would. Human space grew quiet and strong. Ships patrolled long borders. Colonies sent back pictures of green world, shining cities, children laughing under strange suns. No messages went out to the old galaxy. No invitations, no anger, just distance. One day, a small probe drifted into human space. It carried only one file, a recording from an old Cathar matriarch who had died months earlier. She spoke alone, no ceremony. I was there when you left, she said. I laughed too. I voted yes. I thought you would come crawling back. I was wrong. I am old now. Soon I die. Before I go, I want to say it again. I am sorry, not for politics, for me. I wish I had listened. I wish I had seen you as equals. I wish I had been kind. The probe waited. No answer came. After 3 days, it self-destructed in a small, clean flash on a green world. Near the rim, a woman named Mara sat on her porch. She had been a child when the walkout happened. Now she had gray in her hair. She looked at the stars. Her grandson played nearby. Did we really leave everyone? The boy asked. Mara nodded. We left the room. We never left the galaxy. Will we go back? She thought. For a long time. Maybe one day, she said, but only when we want to. Never. Because we have to. The boy smiled and ran off to play. Mara looked up again. Somewhere out there, an old apology still floated in the dark. It had come too late. A humanity had departed without speaking. The assembly apologized, and the stars turned, quietly carrying both regret and freedom in their endless light. Many decades passed. The old galactic assembly building on Kai's Prime stood mostly empty now. Dust collected on the high seats. Lights stayed off for months at a time. Only a few caretakers walked the halls, old beings who remember better days. They cleaned slowly and talked in quiet voices about the time when the chamber was full of noise and color. The species that once ruled the center of the galaxy had shrunk. The Cathar Dominion broke into smaller Groups after food shortages and lost. Wars the Isler conquered lost many of their beautiful worlds to climate. Collapsed because they could no longer afford human repair technology. The Bren stayed strong for a while. But even their huge ships grew slow and old. Without new parts, trade became local. Ships rarely traveled more than a few dozen light years. Fast communication almost stopped. Each system felt like its own small island in a dark sea. Children grew up hearing stories about the time before the silence. Teachers pointed to old maps and said, "Once we all talked to each other, then they humans left." No one laughed at those stories anymore. In human space, things were different. The Rim colonies had become strong, independent worlds. People built giant habitats that floated between stars. They grew food under artificial suns. They mined asteroids with machines that never slept. Children learned math and science that no alien had ever seen. Ships moved so fast that trips between stars took weeks instead of years. But humans did not forget the old galaxy completely. Some kept listening posts. Quiet antennas caught weak signals from far away. Old music, news reports, pleas for help. Most people ignored them. A few listened and felt something like pity. One woman named Captain LRA Chen commanded a long-range scout ship called Silent Step. She was born 30 years after the walkout. Her parents had told her bedtime stories about Ambassador Voss and the silver pins on the podium. LRA grew up believing the assembly was a fairy tale, a place where fools gathered to argue while real people built the future. Her ship patrolled the edge where old space met new. One day her sensors picked up a strange signal. It was not military. It was not trade. It was a single repeating message in old galactic standard. This is the last beacon of Kai's Prime. To any who hear this, we are dying. Our sun grows unstable. We have no ships left to escape. If anyone remains who remembers us, please come, or at least remember that we existed. The message looped for 3 standard days. Before LRA decided what to do, she called her small crew to the bridge. 5 people, 2 engineers, a doctor, pilot, and a young linguist who still studied dead languages. We received a distress call, she said, from Kai's Prime. They say their star is failing. They asked for help. The crew looked at each other. No one spoke for a long minute. The linguist, a quiet man named Darik, broke the silence. They are the ones who laughed at us. They are the ones who voted to cage us. LRA nodded. I know. Hey, but the message says if anyone remembers us. They did not say humans. They said anyone. The doctor crossed her arms. We have medicine. We have ships. We could save thousands. Pilot shook his head. And then what? They will ask for more. They always did. LRA looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere in that direction, an old world was slowly cooking under a dying sun. She made her decision. We go, she said, not to join them, not to forgive them. We go because we can, because leaving them to die when we can help would make us no better than what they once were. The crew stared at her. Then the engineer smiled a little. Captain's orders, captain's orders, LRA said. Silent Step turned and accelerated toward the old core. It would take 6 months at full speed. No one complained. When they arrived, Hayes Prime looked small and sick. The once blue planet was now gray with ash clouds. The huge assembly building was half buried under sand blown from dried oceans. Only a few Lights still glowed in the lower levels. LRA sent a small shuttle down with supplies, food packs, water purifiers, medical kits, and portable fusion generators. No weapons, no flags, just help. A single old sea car met the shuttle. His shell was cracked and pale. He walked with difficulty. Behind him stood a few dozen survivors, mixed species. Thin and tired, the Cathar looked up at the human in the shuttle door. He recognized the dark suit style even. After all these years, you came, he whispered. LRA stepped out. We heard the beacon. The old insect lowered his head. We did not think anyone would. We almost didn't, LRA said simply. Once they worked together for 3 weeks, humans taught the survivors how to set up the generators. They showed them how to clean the water. They gave medicine to the sick children. No one asked for apologies. No one gave speeches. They just worked. On the last day, a silent step prepared to leave. The old Cathar came to LRA again. We have nothing to give you, he said, but if you ever want, the seat is still there, empty, waiting. LRA looked at the broken building in the distance. We don't need seats anymore, she said. We have our own tables now. The Cathar nodded slowly. I understand. LRA turned to go, then she stopped. One thing, she said, tell the children the truth. Tell them what happened, not the pretty version, the real one, so they do not repeat the same mistake. The old Cathar's mandibles trembled. I will. The shuttle rose. Silent Step turned away from the dying world and flew back toward the bright rim. Behind them on Kai's Prime, the survivors watched the ship disappear into the stars. For the first time in generations, they felt something like hope, not because humans had returned forever, but because humans had chosen to be kind when they did not have to. Centuries later, the galaxy looked very different. The old core worlds had mostly recovered. New species rose, new alliances formed. The name Galactic Assembly was used again, but it was smaller, humbler. Meetings happened on rotating neutral worlds. No one claimed to speak for everyone. Humanity stayed far out on the rim. Their territory was huge now, thousands of systems linked by fast gates and quiet fleets. They traded sometimes, but only on their terms. They sent explorers, scientists, artists, but they never asked to join anything. They never needed to. One day, a very old signal reached a human university on a green world called New Horizon. It came from a small probe drifting near the galactic center. The probe was ancient, made of materials no one used anymore. Inside was a single data crystal. A young historian named Elias opened it. The crystal held one video file. It showed a room that looked like the old assembly chamber, but repaired and clean. A mixed group of beings sat in a circle, not in ranks, not in sections, just equal. In the center stood a simple wooden table with one empty chair. An old human woman, very old, with silver hair and calm eyes, stood up. She wore no suit, only plain clothes. She spoke in clear standard. My name is Mira Voss. I am the great-great-granddaughter of Alina Voss, who left the pins on the podium long ago. I speak for no one but myself. We have watched from far away. We have seen your new beginning. We see you no longer laugh at differences. We see you share instead of take. We see you remember. So today I return one thing. Not a seat, not a vote, not power. I return a promise. If you ever truly need help, not want but need, and you ask without pride, without demands, we will Listen, not because we owe you, but because the galaxy is big enough for more than one way to live. That is all. She sat down. The circle stayed quiet for a long time, then one by one each being placed a small object on the table, a feather, a shell fragment, a crystal shard, a carved stone, gifts. Not payment, just signs of respect. Video ended. Ilias watched it 3 times, then he walked to the university garden. He sat under a tree that his grandparents had planted. He thought about the old stories, about laughter, about silence, about departure, about apologies too late. He looked up at the sky, somewhere out there beyond the rim. People lived free and strong. They did not beg, they did not rule, they simply were. Ilias smiled a little. He whispered to the wind, "Thank you, Marabos, and thank you, Elena." Far away, on a ship drifting between quiet stars, an old captain heard the same message on a private channel. She was the last living crew member from Silent Step. Her name was Lra Chen, now very old. She watched the video alone in her cabin. When it finished, she closed her eyes. "Good," she said softly, "they learned." She did not send a reply. There was no need. Humanity had departed without speaking. The assembly had apologized. And in the end, after everything, a small promise floated between the stars, like a single light in the dark. Not a chain, not a cage, just a door left open for anyone brave enough to knock without demanding entry. 1,000 years had passed since the silver pins were placed on the podium. The old core of the galaxy had become a quiet museum of forgotten power. Stars still burned, but many worlds were empty or half alive. Cities that once reached the clouds now lay in ruins, covered by slow green vines. The Cathar hives had collapsed into small family nests. The Yor had flown to distant clusters and never returned. The Ven dreadnoughts rusted in orbit around dead gas giants, their guns silent forever. New species had appeared. Some came from deep space. Some rose from worlds the old assembly never noticed. They built their own small empires, fast, bright, and full of hope. They found old records in buried data vaults. They read about a species called human that once walked out of a big meeting and never came back. Most thought it was a legend, a story to scare children. Don't be rude to strangers, parents said, or they might leave like the humans did. But a few historians kept searching. On a small blue world called Seven, a young scholar named Kiev found something special. K belonged to the Zoreth, a tall, thin people with silver skin and large black eyes. They live quietly studying stars and old signals. Kib spent years listening to faint waves that drifted from the galactic rim. One night a very old, very weak message came through. Here it was in Standard, the language almost no one used anymore. The voice was calm and female. "This is the beacon of New Horizon. To any listener, we still exist. We do not ask for help. We do not offer alliance. We only say the promise stands. If you need and you ask, without pride we will hear." The message repeated for 3 days, then faded. Cat played it again and again. His heart beat fast. He showed it to his teachers. They laughed gently. Old ghost signal. They said, "Humans are gone. They left 1,000 years ago." But Kiev did not believe it was a ghost. He built a small ship, fast, quiet, with good sensors. He told no one his plan. He left AR-7 at night and flew toward the rim. The trip took 11 years at his ship's best speed. He slept in cold sleep most of the time. When he woke, he ate simple food and listened to the old message on loop. After 11 years, he reached the edge of what the old maps called human space. Sensors showed nothing at first, then slowly they woke up. Huge structures appeared, rings around suns, long tubes connecting worlds, swarms of small machines moving like fish in water. No signals came to greet him, no guns fired, just silence. Kib sent a simple message: I am Kiv of the Zorath. I heard your beacon. I come alone. I ask nothing but to see. If you wish me to leave, say so. I will go. He waited 3 days. Then a voice answered, clear and perfect. Standard, no accent. Approach vector. Sent, follow exactly. Do not deviate. Welcome Kiev. A green line appeared on his screen. He followed it. His ship passed through gates that opened without sound. Hold. He saw colonies, green worlds with cities under clear domes, ships that looked alive, stations that spun slowly like wheels. No flags, no borders marked with color, just quiet order. Finally his ship docked at a large habitat shaped like a long cylinder. Airlocks opened. He stepped out into bright light. A single human waited. She was tall with dark skin and short white hair. She wore simple gray clothes, no weapons, no rank signs. I am Keeper Aaliyah, she said. You are the first outsider in 800 years. Kiv bowed low. I thank you for letting me come. Aaliyah smiled a little. You asked without pride. That is why. They walked together through wide halls. Plants grew on walls. Water ran in small streams. People, humans of every color, worked, talked, laughed. Children ran past. No one stared at Cave, and they nodded politely and kept going. Aaliyah took him to a high room with a clear wall, looking at stars. This is the Rim Archive, she said. Everything we remember is here. Kib looked at shelves of crystal, screens showing old videos, books made of real paper. Why keep it all, he asked. You left them behind because forgetting makes the same mistakes again. Aaliyah said. We left because we were tired of being laughed at. We stayed away because we learned to stand alone, but we never hated. Hate is heavy. It slows you down. Kay looked at a crystal labeled Kai's Prime. Final session. He touched it. A hologram appeared. Alina Voss placing her pin. The humans walking out in silence. He watched the whole thing. When it ended, his eyes were wet. They were fools, were shot. He whispered. Some were. Aaliyah said. Not all, as some tried to speak. For us they were ignored too. Kiv turned to her. My people are young. We fight among ourselves. We take too much. We laugh at the weak. I fear we will repeat the story. Aaliyah nodded. Many have, many will, but a few listen. You listened. She gave him a small crystal. Take this, she said. It holds our basic knowledge, energy, medicine, building, farming, not weapons, not control, just tools. Use them well, share them fairly. Or don't, the choice is yours. Kib held the crystal carefully. Why give it to me, he asked. Because you came alone. Aaliyah said. Because you asked. Because the promise was not a lie. Kib stayed for 3 months. He learned their language better. He ate their food. He talked to their children. He saw how they lived. No kings, no councils that shouted by, just small groups that decided together and moved fast. When he left, Aaliyah walked him to his ship. Will you come back, she asked. If my people learn to ask without pride, Kiv said. Yes. Aya smiled. Then we will be here. His ship flew away. Behind him, the rim stayed quiet and bright. Kib returned to Alor 7 after another 11 years. He was old now. His silver skin had lost shine, but his eyes were strong. He gave the crystal to his people. He told them the story, not the legend, the truth. Some laughed, some got angry, many listened. Slowly, over generations, the Zorath changed. They shared more, they fought less. They remembered the name human, not as a ghost, but as a quiet lesson. And far away on the rim, Keeper Aaliyah watched a new signal come in, weak, polite, asking questions. She smiled. The promise still stood. Once 2,000 years after the walkout, the galaxy turned again. A great storm moved through space, not wind or rain, but radiation from a dying supermassive star at the center. Worlds near the core burned. Atmosphere stripped away. Billions died before anyone understood what was happening. Panic spread outward like a wave. New species, old remnants. Everyone looked for help. Ships fled. Stations shut down. Leaders made speeches that no one heard. In the middle of the chaos, a fleet appeared. From the rim, they did not announce themselves with loud signals. They simply arrived. Thousands of ships, large and small, moving in perfect order. Their halls were dark and smooth. No flags, no bright lights. They went to the worst hit worlds first. On Vera 3, a planet losing its air, human ships landed in minutes. Machines unfolded. Huge domes that grew over cities, pumps that pushed clean air, filters that clean poison from the sky. People who had given up hope looked up and saw humans in plain suits walking among them, handing out masks, food, medicine. No speeches, no demands, just work on. Thaler Prime, a moon cracked by quakes. Human engineers arrived with tools no one had seen before. They sealed the cracks, they cooled the core, they saved 80% of the population. Word spread fast. They came back, people whispered. The humans came back, but the humans did not stay after the storm passed. After 3 hard years, they left as quietly as they arrived. Ships folded away. Domes stayed. Machines kept working. Instructions were left in simple language. This is how to fix it if it breaks again. No payment needed. No one saw human leaders. No ambassadors asked for seats or votes. They came, they helped, they left. On a small station near the old Kai's Prime ruins, a mixed council met. Beings from 20 species sat together. They argued for days. Finally, a Zorath elder, descendant of Kiev, stood up. We must speak to them, she said. Not beg, not demand, speak. They sent one ship, small, unarmed. It carried only 3 people, a Zorath, young humanel looking hybrid from a mixed colony, and an old Ven who remembered the days before the silence. They followed an old beacon signal toward the rim. After months, they reached a gate. It opened. A voice spoke. State your purpose. The Zora answered, we come to say thank you. Nothing more. Silence for a long time. Then approach a single ship only. They docked at a habitat that looked like a garden world inside a bottle. Trees grew tall, rivers ran, people walked on grass. Under artificial sky, a woman met them. Middle-aged, calm, dark eyes. I am Listener Mara, she said. You are the first council group in 2,000 years. Old friend stepped forward, his voice shook. We remember, he said. We laughed. We voted, we forgot. Then the storm came. You could have stayed away. You did not. We thank you. Mara listened quietly. We did not come for thanks, she said. We came because death is heavy. We have carried enough of it ourselves. We did not want more. The hybrid spoke. Next, will you ever return to the center? Mara looked at the stars through the clear wall. Maybe, she said, when the time is right, not to rule, not to join old tables, and to walk beside if asked. The Zorath elder placed a small gift on the floor, a crystal flower that glowed softly. For your children, she said, so they know someone remembered. Mara picked it up. We will keep it. They talked for 3 days. No treaties, no promises of power, just stories, old wounds, new hopes, quiet lessons. When the visitors left, Mara stood at the dock and watched their ship disappear. Behind her, a young human asked, will they come again? Mara smiled. If they need, if they ask right, yes. Far away on many worlds, people began to build small beacons, not loud, not begging, just quiet signals saying, thank you, we remember. The doors opened both ways now. And on the rim, humans listened to the new signals. Some smiled, some nodded, most kept working, building, planting, to teaching their children that kindness is not weakness, silence is not surrender, and help given freely is stronger than any treaty. The galaxy healed slowly, and somewhere, the quiet dark, the promise grew roots. 3,500 years after the pins were laid down, the galaxy had become many galaxies in one. Species lived in layers, some near the bright core, some in the slow outer arms, some in bubbles of warped space no one else could reach. Travel was easy for those who knew the ways, hard for those who did not. Humans stayed in their rim territories, their worlds numbered in tens of thousands. Their ships crossed distances in days. Their children grew up speaking 100 languages, but always returned to standard when they wanted to. Remember, they did not call themselves a nation, they called themselves the continuing, a simple name for people who chose to keep going. One day a strange ship appeared at the edge of their space. It was not built like anything human or old assembly. It looked grown. Curves of bone-white material, glowing softly blue, no engines visible, no weapons. It sent one message: we are the Seed Collective. We come from beyond the rim. We seek the ones called continuing. We seek understanding, no threat, no demand, just a request. The humans answered. A single ship went out to meet them, small, open, no guns. Inside the seed ship, humans met beings that looked like living light, shapes that changed, voices like music. The leader of the seed spoke. We have watched for a long time. We saw your departure. We saw your silence. We saw your help when the storm came, but we have one question. What question? The human captain asked. Why did you never take revenge? The captain, a woman named Sarin, born under a red sun, thought for a moment. Revenge is a chain, she said. It binds the one who gives it as much as the one who receives. We broke our chains long ago. We did not want new ones. The seed leader changed shape, became taller, softer. We understand, it said. We have come to offer a gift, not knowledge, not power. A bridge, a small orb floated forward, smooth, black, warm to touch. Inside is a map, the seed said. Paths through folds in space, places no one has seen, worlds that wait. You may go, you may stay, you may share or keep. The choice is yours. Sarin took the orb. Why us? And she asked. Because you left without hate, the seed answered. Because you helped without price, and because you remember that the galaxy is large and no one owns it. Sarin bowed. We accept. We will remember who gave it. The seed ship faded away like mist. Soren returned home. She placed the orb in the Rim archive. She did not open it. Right away she waited. Years passed. Children grew, old people died, new explorers rose. One day a young woman named Tari, descendant of many lines, including Elena Voss, opened the orb. Light poured out, maps appeared. Paths twisting through darkness, leading to new arms of the galaxy, new clusters, new stars never touched. Tari looked at the maps for days, then she went to the council, not a big council, just a circle of people who listened. I want to go, she said, not to claim, not to rule. To see, to learn, to carry the promise. Farther the circle talked, they asked questions, they listened. When in the end they said yes. Tari built a ship. Fast, quiet, open. She took a small crew, friends, family, strangers who wanted to see. Before she left, she visited the old archive. She touched the crystal flower from the Zorath. She watched the hologram of Elena Voss one more time. She whispered, you started this, we keep it going. The ship left the Rim, it followed the new pass. Behind it, more ships prepared slowly. Carefully, not a flood, not an invasion. Just curious people moving forward, far away on a world that had once been Kai's prime, now green again, alive again. Child found an old book in ruins. It told the story of the walkout. Child read it to her friends. They left. Without speaking, she said, and the stars waited. Her friends listened. One asked, will they come back? The child smiled. Hey, they never really left. She said, they just went farther, and somewhere on a new path, Tar's ship flew toward light no one had named yet. Humanity had departed without speaking. The assembly had apologized, and now, after everything, the story kept moving. Quiet, free, endless. 5,000 years after, the silver pins rested on the podium of Kai's prime. The galaxy had folded and unfolded many times. New arms had spun out from the core. Old stars had dimmed to red embers. Entire species had risen, bloomed and faded like flowers in a single season of cosmic time. The name human was no longer spoken as a people. It had become a word for a way of being. Quiet strength, long memory, help. Without strings, in the deep outer reaches, far beyond what the old maps called the Rim, a cluster of young civilizations lived inside a nebula of soft purple gas they called their home. The Veil, the people there were small, winged beings with translucent skin that glowed when they felt strong emotion. They named themselves the Lani. The Lyrani had only recently learned to leave their home nebula. Their ships were delicate, made of woven crystal threads and powered by captured starlight. They explored slowly, carefully, like children walking through tall grass. One day a Lani scout ship found something strange. It was a single black obelisk floating alone in empty space. No engines, no lights, just smooth stone the color of deep night. Taller than 10 of their ships stacked together. On one side was carved a simple circle, blue lines inside it that looked like land and sea. The scout captain, a young female named Solara, he felt her wings tremble with wonder. She sent a gentle signal. This is Scouter of the Lenini. We mean no harm. We see your marker. May we approach? Silence answered for many hours. Then a voice came, calm, clear, in a language the Lani had never heard but somehow understood perfectly. Approach permitted. Come slowly, touch nothing until invited. Salara's ship drifted closer. A seam appeared in the obelisk. It opened like a flower. Inside was warm golden light. she and her small crew stepped out onto a platform. Gravity held them gently. Air smelled of green leaves and rain. Figure waited, tall, human-shaped. Wearing simple gray cloth, the face was calm, eyes dark and old. I am Archivist Torin, the figure said. This place is a memory vault, one of many. You are welcome here. Solara's wings glowed. Bright blue, curiosity and awe. We have stories of beings who left long ago, she said. They walked away from a great council. They helped when stars burned. Are you them? Torin smiled faintly. We are what remains, he said. Not the same bodies, not the same names, but the same choice. Come see. He led them deeper. Inside the vault were halls that stretched forever. Walls showed moving pictures, silent at first, then sound came when they looked longer. They saw the old chamber on Kai's Prime. They saw pins placed in a line. They saw ships leaving without words. They saw storms of radiation and human ships arriving. With open hands, they saw new paths opening through folded space. Solara watched for hours. Her crew sat quietly beside her. When the last image faded, a ship flying toward unnamed light. Solara spoke. Why keep all this? She asked. You could forget, you could rule, you could hide forever. Torin looked at the empty hall. Forgetting invites repetition, he said. Ruling invites chains. Hiding invites loneliness. We chose the middle path. We remember so others do not have to suffer the same lessons again. We help when asked rightly. We stay away when not needed. That is all. Solara's wings dimmed to soft violet, thoughtful color. Our people are new, she said. We argue, we fear strangers, we take more than we give sometimes. I'm afraid we will become like the old ones who laughed. Torin nodded. Many do, he said. A few do not. You came here without weapons. You asked permission. That is already different. He touched a panel. Small crystal rose from the floor. Clear, warm, no bigger than Sela's hand. Take this, he said. It holds simple things. Clean energy from light, water from air, healing from common plants. Ways to speak across distance without shouting. No weapons, no control. Use it as you choose. Share it, keep it, break it. The choice belongs to you. Solara held the crystal carefully. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Why trust us with this? She asked. Because trust is the only thing that lasts longer than empires. Torin answered. They stayed 3 weeks. The Lani learned to speak the old standard better. They ate food grown under artificial suns. They listened to stories, not lectures, just quiet talks from archivists who looked young but spoke like ancients. When they left, Torin walked them to the door. Will you tell your people? He asked. Shores. Yes, Seller said. Not as gods, not as ghosts, as proof that leaving can be kind, that silence can be strength, that help can come without asking for power. Torin bowed slightly. Then the vault has done its work. The obelisk closed behind them. It vanished into the dark like it had never been there. Solara flew home. She carried the crystal and the memory over the next generations. The Lani changed. They built slower. They listened more. They shared what they learned without demanding thanks. Small obelisks began to appear near their worlds, not human-made but Lyri made. Each one held the same promise. If you need, ask rightly, we will hear. And far away, in places no one could map, other vaults waited, quiet, patient, open to anyone who came without pride. 7,000 years after the departure, without words, the universe had grown tired in places. Some galaxies collided slowly. Stars mixing like drops of water, others drifted apart, becoming lonely islands. Of light, time itself felt thicker in. The quiet zones, places where physics, bent in memory, lasted longer. In one such quiet zone, a species called the echo weavers lived. They did not have bodies like most, they were patterns of thought and sound that moved between crystal lattices grown on dead worlds. They remembered everything, they forgot nothing. They called themselves the keepers of final songs. One cycle, an echo weaver named Resonant Far caught a signal older than most stars. It came from a direction no one traveled anymore, beyond the last folded paths, beyond even the sea collective maps. The signal was faint, polite, repeating every few centuries like a heartbeat. The resonant far edge listened. The voice said, "This is the last archive. We still wait, we still remember, if any remain who seek understanding without ownership. Come, the doors open, no price, no chain." Most echo weavers ignored it. Old signals were common, but resonant far edge felt something different, something unfinished. It gathered a small chorus, 7 other patterns who agreed to listen together. They shaped a vessel, not of metal or crystal, but of pure intention. They pushed it through the quiet zones, through layers of bent time, until they reached a place where space felt soft, like breathing silk. There they found it, a single world, green and blue, small and perfect. No cities covered it, no machines scarred it, just forests, oceans, mountains under a gentle yellow sun, and around the world orbited thousands of small stations, quiet, dark, waiting. A voice greeted them as they arrived. "Welcome, keepers of final songs, you are expected." They flowed down to the surface. They took temporary forms, tall figures of light and sound, so they could walk among trees. A human waited on a hill covered in white flowers. She looked young, but her eyes held the weight of millennia. She wore no clothes of rank, just soft cloth, the color of sky. "I am custodian," she said, "the last who still uses the name." Resonant fared edge shaped words in the air. "You are human once," Ara answered. "Now we are echoes too, in a way. We moved our minds into the lattice long ago. Bodies became optional, time became gentle. We stayed because someone must remember the beginning." She walked with them through the forest. They saw children, not flesh children, but patterns playing in the light. They saw gardens that grew food no one needed to eat. They saw libraries carved into living trees, stories written in leaves. "Why stay hidden so long?" Resonant fared edge asked. "Because the galaxy no longer needs us to lead," said. "It needed us to leave, then it needed us to help quietly. Now it needs only to not forget, so we became the memory that does not demand to be seen." They reached a clearing. In the center stood a simple stone, smooth black with one blue circle carved on it. "This is the first marker," Allor said, "the one Alina Voss carried in her heart when she left the pins. We planted it here when we chose to stop moving outward. What everything begins and ends with a choice to walk away." Resonant far edge felt the pattern shift inside itself, something like sorrow, something like peace. "Will you ever leave this place?" it asked. Alara looked up at the stars. "When the last question is answered," she said, "when no one anywhere asks in pride or fear anymore. When help is given because it is right, not because it is owed, then perhaps we will walk again, not to rule, not to teach, just to see what grew while we waited." She touched the stone, a soft Light spread, images appeared in the air, not holograms but living memories. They saw the walkout, they saw apologies too late. They saw storms crossed, they saw gifts given, they saw obelisks planted, they saw 1,000 small kindnesses across time. When the light faded, resonant far edge spoke, "We will carry this song," it said, "not to sing loudly, to humbly so others may hear and choose better." R nodded, "That is enough." The echo weavers stayed for what felt like days, but was centuries in. Outside time, they learned the shape of human memory, not facts but feelings. They learned why silence could be louder than shouts. When they left, Ara stood on the hill and watched them fade. Behind her, a child pattern asked, "Will they come back?" Ara smiled. "They already did," she said, "in the only way that matters." The small world turned quietly under its sun. The last archive waited, and somewhere in every corner of every expanding universe a few patterns, human or not, still chose the middle path. Remember help when asked rightly. Stay free. Humanity had departed without speaking. The assembly had apologized. And in the end, after all the long years, the story did not finish. It simply grew wider, softer, quieter, until the whole sky hummed with the possibility that leaving could be the kindest thing anyone ever did. 6,667. Over 80,468,273. Generate speech history. 11 labs. Brian. Deep, resonant, and comforting. 11. Multilingual V2 high quality auto detect. Recommended slower, faster, more variable. More stable, low, high, non-exaggerated. Plus 15%, plus 15%. Reset values global. Final deal, new provider Imogen Promogen. Pro Facebook group Zal. Messenger, Telegram, Channel WhatsApp, YouTube. Teptudong. Close Earth did not explode with anger. No huge protests filled the streets, no loud speeches played on every screen. The news channels reported the war decision. In calm voices, my government sent short messages as we received the council's decision. We are studying it. People read the news. Some frowned, some laughed quietly, most went back to work. But under the surface, things moved. In the big shipyards around Mars, workers received new orders, double shifts on the new freighter hulls. No explanation. No complaints. Cranes lifted giant metal plates. Welders worked day and night. The ships looked like normal cargo carriers, but their engines were bigger than normal. Their hulls had extra layers. In the research stations on the moon, scientists got quiet messages. Pause all joint projects with Council. Species, focus on self-contained systems, food printers, water recyclers, air filters, everything a colony needed to live without help from outside. On the frontier worlds, New Dawn, Elysium. When Horizon militia units started extra drills, they called them storm preparation or meteor response, but the drills looked like war games. Soldiers practiced boarding actions. Pilots ran attack runs on dummy targets. Officers spoke in low voices about possible independence scenarios. No one leaked anything big. No angry posts on public nets. Human communication stayed boring. The council spies read thousands of messages every day. They saw complaints about taxes, jokes about bad food, normal life. They relaxed. Meanwhile, something else happened. 47 human captains sent resignation letters to the Joint Council patrol fleets. Each letter was polite. Each said the same thing. My Contract ends. I choose not to renew. The council officers shrugged. Humans were always emotional. They would come back when they needed money. When the captains did not go home, they flew their ships to quiet systems. There they met other ships. Small groups formed. They traded fuel and parts. They talked. They planned. One captain, a woman named Mara Chen, stood on the bridge of her corvette's Silent Arrow. She looked at her crew. We are not pirates, she said. We are not rebels. We are free traders. Now no council rules, no taxes to aliens, only our rules. Her first officer smiled. And if the council comes asking, then we smile and say we are on personal business. They laughed, but their eyes were sharp. Back on Earth, President Navarro sat in a plain room with no windows. Around the table sat 5 people, the heads of fleet, intelligence, science, industry, and diplomacy. Navarro spoke first. They think we will beg. They think we will obey. The fleet admiral, a tall woman named Reyes, nodded. Our active warships are only 112. Their combined fleet is over 9,000. Science Director Patel lifted a hand. But our newest drives are 20% faster in real space. Our stealth coatings are better. Their sensors cannot see us if we do not want them to. Industry head Uya smiled. We have 32 hidden yards. They are building ships that look like freighters but carry fighter bays inside. We can double our strength in 8 months. Intelligence Chief Sokolov leaned forward. The council is slow. They argue for weeks before they move. We can use that. Diplomacy head Vasquez, Alina's older sister, spoke last. We do nothing loud yet. We wait. We build. When they need us, we say no. Navarro looked at each face. Agreed. 5 heads nodded. He stood. Then we begin. Outside the room, normal life continued. Children went to school. People bought food. Ships carried goods between worlds. Everything looked peaceful. But inside the hidden places, humanity prepared. The council watched. They saw nothing dangerous. They smiled. They had no idea. 6 months passed. On the edge of known space, trouble started. A group of pirate clans joined together. They called themselves the Red Veil. 6 Varn and other rough species. They had fast ships and no rules. They attacked a trade station called Relay Gamma. It was the main crossing point for 3 council core worlds. They took the station in one night. They killed the guards. They locked the workers in storage bays. They pointed guns at the control room and demanded tolls from every ship that wanted to pass. Trade stopped, but food shipments to the core world slowed. Medicine ran low. Prices went up. People complained. The council met. They talked for days. Which fleet should go? One asked. Proportional response only. Another said we must protect civilian lives. A third added. Days became weeks. The pirates grew bold. They attacked smaller ships. They took hostages. They sent videos to the council. Pay us or they die. Still the council debated. Finally they sent a message to Earth. Human fleet, please send support. Your ships are close. Help us restore order. The answer came back the same from every human ship in the area. Humanity is reviewing its cooperation agreements. We cannot act until ward status is clarified. Request denied. The council officers stared at the messages. They refuse. One asked. They are angry children. Another said. Wish they will change their minds soon. But the pirates did not wait. They took another station. More ships Joined them, the core world started to feel hunger. Panic spread. The council sent their own fleet. It moved slowly. It stopped at every checkpoint to check rules. It took another 3 weeks to reach the area. By then the pirates had grown stronger, and something else was happening. Human ships appeared in empty systems far outside the old borders. Systems the council had never claimed. One day there was nothing. The next day, human beacons blinked online. Sovereign human territory, entry by permission. Only small stations appeared, then bigger ones than shipyards. Council scout drones flew close to look. They received automatic warnings. Leave now. Next approach will be met with force. The drones left. The council was shocked. How did they build so fast? One asked, where did they get the materials? Another asked, no one knew. Elena Vasquez sat in her new office on Earth. She watched reports come in. A smile touched her lips. The council still thought humans were weak. They were learning slowly, but they were learning. The emergency meeting on Nexus Prime was loud. Voices shouted over each other. Gas clouds flashed angry colors. Crystals rang like bells. Insects clicked their claws. Lord Kior raised one heavy leg. The room quieted. We face rebellion, he said. Humans expand without permission. They refuse aid. They claim new systems. We must act. ZTH delegate stood. Send the fleet. Remove their stations. Show them order. A gas being swirled dark purple, but their ships are many now and fast. Another voice. We gave them technology. Peep, we taught them. This is our fault. Lord Kior looked around. We vote. Military action, yes or no. Before the vote finished, every delegation received a data packet. It came from Earth. The title was simple: Revocation of Shared Technology. Inside were files complete. Plans, blueprints, manuals, everything humans had given the council in 50 years. Engines, weapons, shields, sensors, all of it. A message was attached. These were gifts. Gifts end. Today, all joint facilities will be cleared of human parts in 30 days. Thank you for 50 years of cooperation. At the same moment, on every shared base, human workers stopped. They packed tools. They removed panels. They took out power cores made on Earth. They left alien parts behind. Council officers watched in silence. They could not stop it. Humans were polite and they did not fight. They just left and took their secrets with them. On the frontier, human private ships moved. They did not attack the pirates. They offered deals. Better pay, clear contracts, no council taxes. Many pirate crews listened. Some changed sides. The Red Veil started to crack. Trade ships, human trade ships, found new paths, secret jump points. Routes humans had mapped years ago. Routes they never shared. The block Nexus became useless. Goods flowed again. On human terms, the council fleet finally arrived. They found the pirates already beaten. Human privateers had finished the job. No big battle, just smart moves, better offers, faster ships. The council commanders stood on their bridges. They looked at empty space. They felt small. Back on Nexus Prime, Elena Vasquez walked in. No invitation. No guard stopped her. As she stood in the center, every eye turned to her. She spoke once. You saw control. We saw chains. You saw weakness. We saw time. You judged too soon. She turned. She walked out. No threats, no anger. Just truth. Behind her the chamber was silent for the first time in 1,000 Years the council felt afraid. Word. Count approximately 1,800. Part 5. The war decree disappeared. Quietly, one morning the official record simply said, status under review, previous classification removed. No vote, no announcement, just gone. Human ships kept moving, new colonies grew, new stations shown, new fleets patrolled, not for the council but for humanity. Trade continued, but now humans set prices, humans chose partners, humans made rules. Some alien species sent messages. Kate, may we talk? May we visit? May we learn? Elena Vasquez answered most of them, always polite, always careful, never weak. On Earth, President Navarro stood on a balcony. He looked at the blue planet below. Ships rose from the surface like silver birds. He smiled. We never wanted war, he said to no one. We just wanted to be free. In the stars, a small human scout ship flew past an old council marker. The marker said, end of permitted space. Scout ship did not stop. It kept going further out where no one had gone before. Behind it the marker blinked once, then it went dark. Humanity walked forward, not angry, not loud, just certain. The galaxy watched, and for the first time it listened.